Welcome everyone into episode 17 of the Hooley Brothers podcast. We're coming at you the Ides of March. It's March 15th. And Mike, we have a bracket.
Took 2 years, but we finally got one.
We're gonna, if you're watching on YouTube, bring it up to the camera here, printed one out. Unfilled right now. I still gotta get to that point, but we have a bracket. Like you said, a year ago, we were robbed of our bracket. We didn't get one, we didn't get a tournament. We have one today. We were thinking about doing a little live show yesterday, but a lot of things were going on. We had dinner. The Big Ten game was almost too good because then that spilled into the night. We lived with our parents for a little bit. My laundry ran late, but here we are. It's Monday. We've had a day to process things. We also have some late NFL news that broke today. We'll get to that later on in the show. This is going to be very college hoop centric, but we do have that kind of at the end here. So a little blessing in disguise for waiting a day. But I think a lot to cover as far as the bracket goes, and I think we'll take a deeper look on Thursday. So we'll do another show right before the tournament starts, kind of during the first four portion of the night here, Mike. But and we'll get into conference tournaments too. But initial thoughts on the bracket, I guess we'll get to kind of the deeper aspect there. It seems like there weren't too many snubs this year. Again, I know Louisville kind of the first team out here, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I feel like every year it's between Jerry Palm and of course Joey brackets. It's usually like the 67 teams are okay. Then it's like one team that's usually like
right
63rd or 64th, just out of nowhere, just falls out. I think the most shocking part of the bracket. Sorry, the most shocking part of the bracket was the teams that ended up in the first four rather than the teams that got the bye.
Right, like I think Syracuse was kind of one of those teams that they were on the bubble for so long, and then they got kind of the pass to the first round, whereas we're seeing Michigan State and UCLA, and that's gonna be a great game. I think it's probably it's got to be like one of the biggest first four games as far as notoriety, like of all time, since they really started this, about 5 to 10 years ago. So I think as far as, again, you have, Tom Izzo and Mick Cronin, like two of the biggest names in college basketball. You don't see that on night one. Drake, Wichita State, that's about what you're used to seeing in the non-16 playing games.
It's usually the game that gets you excited. It's like, oh, like the two like sort of mid-major teams, like not quite like
right,
but like kind of like an upcoming team. It's like, oh, that's a good, exciting matchup. It's like either that or you get like some like lower conference, like or like Providence, USC, or something like that. Like,
yeah, I remember that. I think Q's was actually in it a few years ago.
Yeah, Q's was. I think they were in the first fourth year. They made the Final Four.
That's right. You are. Yeah, that's correct. So, there's a lot of thoughts in the bracket. We'll get to maybe that later in the show, and then we'll get more in depth on Thursday. So why don't we? Because we were thinking about doing this maybe yesterday, kind of when the bracket was getting announced. So I think we have lots to recap from conference tournament weekend here.
Oh, wow.
And I guess it was pretty wild, I have to admit, especially some of those. I think Thursday, the like early slate of games, while we were all at work,
convenient
had on the side there. Yes, exactly. I had them mute and everything. The perks of working from home. But when I'm starting the Big Ten, that's kind of been, one of the two most talked about conferences this year. It was pretty shocked to the semis. Michigan State went out a little early, and I think that's maybe why they found themselves on the outside. I honestly think, now that I'm saying it out loud right now, I think if Michigan State won that game against Maryland, we could very easily be seeing Syracuse and UCLA playing on Thursday night versus Michigan State. But they did fall to Maryland. It didn't cost them the tournament, but they do have to play this extra game now. But it was chalked to the semis. We got the top four teams I think we were all expecting. And it looks like you want to hop in.
I was going to say even Maryland could have dropped down into that first four too. That could have been a winners in, losers in the
exactly
type of situation.
Right. So actually that's actually a good point. Q's would have been safe no matter what. But it was kind of cool to I think even as good as Purdue was, and I think they're a really talented team. We did get to see, I think the top four that we were all expecting with Michigan, Ohio State, and then Iowa and Illinois, and we got obviously the Illinois and Ohio State overtime thriller yesterday. But it was chalked to the semis. Then there was that crazy moment in that Michigan Maryland game between Juwan Howard and Turgeon there. So I don't know. That was kind of wild. Was there like that? There's a quote with the banners, right? Like, why hang them up? Because they're just going to have to take them down, which is, again, a pretty good shot at that the Fab Five team that had to take the banners down. But kind of a weird moment there to see Juwan so fired up.
Yeah, I think it was like Mark Turgeon in Maryland. Like, come on, like, what leg do you really have to stand on here? Like, Juwan Howard.
He's been there 10 years.
No, there's 10 years, and I feel like they haven't been good in the 10 years. Like I remember, like the last like very good Maryland team I can think of was like 2010 with like Rivas Vasquez, and it seems like that was right
They were
before.
okay. They were okay with Alex Len, I feel like, but
Well, I'm just thinking like more like recently, like with like Melo Trimble, and I forget the name of the big guy,
yeah.
dominant, and that
Oh, Diamond Stone.
Diamond Stone, and like they just weren't really good. I think the one year they even
No,
like got
no.
it as high as like a 6 seed, they got upset in the first round. So I feel like they've been a like pretty big disappointment the last couple of years. So coming in out of nowhere, like losing pretty hard, and I think they're now like 10 points in like a 1-8 game in the conference tournament. Like
Yeah.
I'm definitely on the Fab Five sign there.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously they're gonna have some issues going forward with Isaiah Livers being out indefinitely. Hopefully he can get back soon because obviously he wants these teams at full strength this time of year. But yeah, kind of a weird moment there. Turgeon, again, 10 years. We have to remember Jim Christian got sick, so we'll get to be seen a little bit today. But some people got extended lives or extended lives in college basketball there. So yeah, kind of a weird moment of that game. And then going back to that 4-5 game. Yeah, OSU Purdue. Again, the Buckeyes were able to hold off. I think that's a name or a game that they really needed to solidify themselves to lock up that number 2 seed in the tournament. And I think if they had a strong showing at Illinois, they would have maybe had an outside chance at a one. But again, it seemed like no matter what, as long as they won that Purdue game, even I think they were pretty locked in as a 2 seed.
Yeah, I think definitely you're right there because that would have been sort of like Purdue ended up getting it 4. I think that would have been a disappointing loss, especially with the
They
fact
could have
that
knocked down.
they were really struggling down the stretch. I think they needed to kind of have like a decent showing in this Big Ten tournament to prove that they belong to the 2 seed. And
Yeah.
beating Michigan, even though they were out with Isaiah Livers and then taking Illinois to overtime, was a good enough showing to prove that they're a 2 seed. I guess I was somewhat right about this tournament because I know I predicted Michigan over Iowa. I just knew we weren't going to get the Michigan Illinois matchup in the
Illinois game.
game. So I
So
picked
I
them.
was right. We'll put that on the board and we'll get to my curse a little bit later on. But yeah, so I chalk one up for the Big Ten. I had Illinois right there. Their team I'm really riding high on now. And we'll kind of get to that in a little bit. They were obviously able to hold off Iowa as Ohio State beats Michigan. Sorry if you've heard this before. I know it's been kind of the last 4 or 5 years at least in football, and even when Michigan's having a better year in basketball, they still beat them in the conference championship. So, all right, in the semifinals rather. But yeah, so it came down to Illinois Ohio State, and really a great game yesterday. It looked like it was kind of going to be a bore. It seemed like Illinois kind of had control at the end. They were kind of up 10 for a while there, and Ohio State came back and forced overtime. Dwayne Washington had a great game on their side to kind of keep them in the game. But at the end of the day, it was too much as the line. I did hold them off to wrap up that Big Ten title. But Ohio State showed a lot of fight. I think they kind of had a rough end of the season, but I think a strong end of the conference tournament.
Yeah, but I still am a little bit worried out of them because if you looked at the box score, I think that they might have added a couple people in overtime. But I think going into overtime, only 4 people in their team had points.
Right, they're limited. Yeah,
And
it's
like Dwayne
top heavy.
Washington, shout out to him. He had a very good semifinal and final. I believe he had a career high in the final. And
Mm-hmm.
the final lost to Illinois. So like if let's say Liddell gets in foul trouble and Washington's shooting gets cold and they go up against like even like a dangerous 7 team. I forget who's on their bracket on that side, but you never know. That's one thing to worry about when looking at this Ohio State team. But hey, they seem to be peaking at the correct time.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. And I know we'll get kind of a deeper dive in a little bit here as far as that goes, but I don't know. I mean, I know Baylor's been a first all year, but you could have drawn a tougher 1 seed. At least you don't have to deal with your Big Ten foes there in the same bracket as far as that goes. But I know we'll get kind of deeper as we go on here. But yeah, Illinois wins the Big Ten. If we switch over to the SEC, I know early on we joked about I see there's a note here that you made, Mike. Our guy Trill Withers on Twitter was joking about how Kentucky was the team that no one wanted to play against Mississippi State, and they won. He goes, "All right, one team wanted to play that." So yeah, obviously a down year for the Wildcats, and looked that they looked pretty strong in that game, but obviously fell to Mississippi State there.
Yeah, because I mean, I was talking myself in the bracket because I'm not a big believer in Florida or Tennessee, and
Mm-hmm.
I felt like if they got to the championship game, they would have made it. So like, I mean, I was assuming an upset against 1 seed Alabama, who clearly showed how good they were in this tournament. So, but hopefully, I feel like the last time they were down, they were able to get some of their guys back and then get a recruiting class in, and they're like fantastic the year after. So not too worried
Yeah.
about forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny though, because I made the joke earlier about Ohio State, Michigan, but this almost shaped up to be like a football type tournament. Because I mean, obviously Tennessee's probably like, if you look at the Final Four of the SEC tournament, the only like real basketball school that I would think of, because you had obviously Tennessee was matched up against Bama and LSU against Arkansas when you got to the Final Four there. So I know before that we Tennessee, beating Florida in the 4-5 game. LSU knocked out Ole Miss, who ended up being one of those first 4 teams out.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird to think of because like in our heyday of like watching like college football, when we were like between the ages of 10 to 15, Arkansas was amazing with
They were good.
the
The
run
Boss Hog.
defense. But I guess like the more I think of it, I guess Arkansas is a basketball school because I know that they won a couple tournaments back in like the early '90s, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and the past couple years with like Bobby Portis and stuff, and now I'm in the Must Bus
That's
in
true.
there.
Portis was good. Yeah.
But
Absolutely. So yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say that I think I've kind of really loved this tournament. I know we kind of set up this outline to go from Sunday going backwards a little bit because like recency
Mm-hmm.
bias, but I do
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
say I'm loving the intensity in the SEC, especially in a down like you can say down year without Kentucky, but all
Just different. Yeah.
the Arkansas LSU games, like I think there was 2 blowouts in the regular season, but you can tell like they were enjoying blowing out the teams in both times they played, and
Mm-hmm.
then the high intensity of the game on Saturday, and then the, going into the title game, as I'm going to lead us into right now against Alabama and LSU, they were jawing at each other before and after the game. So I was
Mm-hmm.
really loving the intensity of this SEC tournament. I'd say probably the best tournament, at least the quality of basketball wise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, the Big Ten was solid, but I think kind of game by game, you might be right about the SEC there. And yeah, just setting it up Saturday was kind of crazy with Bama and Tennessee. I was kind of like doing a few things on here, kind of keeping track of it. I think I even had to take a shower at one point. I had my phone propped up against there because it was like 3 minutes left. So I'm like, this game's insane. And then I threw it on, and Dickie B definitely confused me at the end of that game. Tennessee down 3 points, and uh, Bama chose not to foul, and they took 3, and it hit the net. It did not go through the rim though, and he couldn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a big deal, but it didn't go in, so it was kind of like no harm, no foul. So Dickie got a little confused. He thought that one went in there, but yeah, Bama able to hold them off, but I think a strong showing for Tennessee going into the tournament, and then the Most Bus stalled out a little bit against LSU, so it set up the I think the matchup that we saw back in like 2011, going back to football, that classic 9-6 game before the title game there. So we saw again a historically football final, but like you said, intense game between Bama and LSU in the final there.
Yeah, never really kind of got out of either team's handle early on because I feel like every time there was like, okay, Alabama would go up like I think they went like 8-0 or 8-2 to start the game, and then LSU got right back, and next thing you know, they're like leading the game. It was a lot of Camp Thomas to start. He started, I believe, 3 of 3 from 3, and
Mm-hmm.
then right when he got hot, Alabama just owned the offensive glass. I think they had like 8
Mm-hmm.
offensive rebounds, and then the first like 12 minutes of the game, and then the second half turned into Watford, the brother of Christian Watford from
Christian,
Indiana.
that buzzer beater, never forget that one versus Kentucky. Regular season game, probably one of the most like notable regular season games in recent memory. Probably that and like the Austin Rivers buzzer beater. Just yeah, so that was fun to see his little brother in this game. But yeah, so Bama able to hold up LSU, win the SEC, and they also secure a number 2 seed in the tournament.
My thing is
Uh,
My thing
sorry.
about that, so like again, Wofford had 30 points, and if he did make the shot, he probably would have the SEC tournament MVP. But why the step back 3 down by 1 point?
Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot now, and not to be again, I don't want to be the guy that's like blaming Steph Curry or the current NBA, but it is a little silly because like I'm not saying you can't pull up or even have most of your game focused on 3-point shot. I think that's just how the game's going now. But yeah, unless you're down 2 and you just want the game to end, or obviously if you're down 3, you need one. Yeah, just like, and even if you're down, there's certain situations where you can still, if the 3 is the best shot, fine. But it's like if you're just you're standing with the ball for 15, 20 seconds and then shooting a step back, like they're not even, some of them are like 30 footers too. They're not even like right on the line 3-pointers. They're far back there.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the Syracuse Virginia game. Like that's a good three in a tied at 1 point game.
Right, exactly.
I think Watford's a bigger guy, like, and he seemed to be doing a lot of damage, like with like backdoor cuts and like a lot of like tough finishes at the hole. Like I feel like he at
Mhm.
least would have gotten some help and some contacts where it either would have been contact for the layup or even help for a kick out. So,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
but they almost got the put like they almost got the air ball put back. I think it was Javante Smart, but just a wild
Mhm.
tournament.
Yeah. So yeah, again, like I said, Bama wins the SEC, lock up that 2 seed. We'll shift back over to the American, kind of wrapping up the Sunday championship games as far as the tournament goes. But Houston Memphis was a very close one as well. Like you said, part two lived up to the expectations. I was pulling for Penny because I knew Houston was getting in regardless. And I want to see the Tigers get in there, but they couldn't quite get off the bubble there. Excuse me. And then I think we all thought we might have been destined towards that Houston Wichita State final, but Cincinnati upset the Shockers, and then now they found themselves in the first, they're kind of in the first four there. So that really shook things up because you think even if Wichita State wins that game, they might be a little bit more firmly in the tournament, maybe not in that play-in game, but that really cost them. Now they have to win an extra game here.
Well, even just looking at what Luminardi had, like I didn't even see Wichita State anywhere close to like the last four buys or the first four in. And then
Right.
they lost to Cincinnati, and then Sunday morning you looked at it, and he was the one team they got wrong. He had them out, so that was I thought that was a devastating loss that ruined them. I mean,
Yeah,
Cincinnati, I
it
think,
almost cost them more than it did. Yeah.
yeah, I think they're like I think 11-10 going in that game because like the title game, I don't know what the spread was for that game, but the title game was like 13.5. So
I still said to you yesterday, I'm just like, I like explain to me how they were the number one seed in this tournament and they're like in a playing game. And the America's not like a bad conference. So it
they had
blew my mind. It just,
they had a two seed in it and other like bubble teams. So
yeah. So it was just very strange. But yeah, they're able to at least, they're gonna play Drake in the first four here. So they have a chance to get into the field to 64. But yeah, and then like you said, Houston steamrolled Cincinnati because again they didn't run into the top two teams here as Mike's smiling and has a smirk on his face here. So I'll what do you got?
I think we can wrap up the American Conference. I just have a quick Shams bomb.
Okay, all right, breaking news. What do we got?
Free agent quarterback Jameis Winston signs with the Saints. A
For
Shams bomb.
Shams?
That's a Bleacher Report has. It says free agent
Hey,
quarterback.
that's revenge on Schefter for all I can say. I mean,
Saints re-signed Jameis Winston is the title of the team stream report, and it says free agent QB signs to a 1-year, $12 million deal to stay in New Orleans. Parentheses Shams.
so yeah, again, we'll get to cap hell in a little bit later on in the show because the whole Taysom Hill contract that seems like it's zero anywhere from $0 to $1 million or like $1 million a second there. But anyway, yeah, so like you said, Houston blows out Cincy, and then how about we get to the Big East and what went down there? Because I think we both went in a little weird there. So actually no, go back to the American. I have to give you your credit. You did call Houston in that one, right? Not that was a huge
Yeah,
leap
and
there.
who did you pick in the SEC?
We both went Must Bus.
Both of Must Bus, yeah.
So we both missed out on that one. So I think we're 1-1 now. After you get the American, and so yeah, I Wichita State that did not work out. But yeah, go to the Big East. So is that true? All the Vegas Dogs won in the first round.
Yeah, so it was going backwards across the day. We had the Providence Friars, the 6 seed, lose to 11 DePaul. We mentioned on the last pod that Xavier had the tough loss to Butler, the 7-10, and then earlier in the day, technically Marquette was the 9 seed and Georgetown was the 8, but like I think they were like still 3-point favorites.
Just betting odds, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 8-9, it's kind of toss up, but so I thought. And then we got into the next day, and then the first game of the day was probably that wild slate when we saw Georgetown go against the top seed Villanova.
Yeah. So again, that's where the run started for the Hoyas, taking on a banged up Villanova team again. Gillespie out, and they were able to, upset Nova, take down Seton Hall. UConn and
I did
Creighton
mention they went perfect at the line in that Nova game. I think it was like 23 of 23.
Which is insane. You don't see a lot in college, especially. I think you see, percentages are a bit down. So, perfect at the line there. And then it was, again, just kind of a weird tournament because you saw again the top seed go out, and then so UConn and Creighton roll. Georgetown beat Seton Hall. Then UConn unable to come back against Creighton, and then as we can see here, Georgetown, you have that the 49th anniversary there on a 46-8 run.
Yeah, so go one step back. That UConn Creighton game was able to catch the end. UConn had so many chances to beat them, but Creighton was able to hold on to set up that Creighton Georgetown game. And at the start, I think like Creighton was up like 11-4, and it was like, oh no, this might be the end for Ewing's boys. But I think right after that, they went on a 46-8 run,
which is just nuts.
Yeah, I think it was like 18-0 in the half. Because I was like loosely watching it because like again, it was my anniversary this weekend, so I was with a girlfriend. It was kind of nice setup. We had the laptop of the movies in a hotel room overlooking the city. There was a TV right in the middle, and I just had all the games on mute. I was kind of like looking up back and forth. I believe it was 16-16. And then I looked up and it was like 32-16. I'm like, what the heck happened here? Especially
if
it was Creighton, I would have been too shocked by the fact that it was Georgetown.
Yeah.
A wild swing out of nowhere, and they just took over the rest of the game. And it turned out to be on the 49th anniversary as the hire of John Thompson, Patrick Ewing's coach at Georgetown. So
yeah,
some stuff in sports can't write in a movie. Some things. Nope.
But yeah, so the Hoya is able to steal a bid there, and that ended up creating, like I said, that domino effect. Maybe bounced a team like Louisville out. That's one of the first out. St. Louis, you got on the list there of kind of the first 4 teams out, but those are the kind of the bid sealers that teams in the bubble just absolutely hate to see win the tournament. But a great story for the Hoyas there. Again, I know they kind of just had a hot week here, and who knows what this means for the long-term success, but I would like to see Georgia get back on the map with especially with Patrick Ewing at the helm. So I think neither one of us at Georgetown.
I almost did it because I had a weird feeling about the top half of the bracket, and I ended up going with St. John's, who lost to Seton Hall. But yeah, I guess I kind of talked myself.
Because you were St. John's, that was UConn, right?
Yeah, I think I was like, whoever wins the Seton Hall St. John's game is going to win.
Right, exactly.
But
someone two chances and lost.
No, but you made me pick one.
I did make you. Yeah.
So at that point, I was kind of happy. I'm like, honestly, Georgetown just win it.
No, once a certain thing hit, I'm like, let's get the Hoyas in here.
I think the way to think about it with them is that they might not have actually stolen the bid, because if you thought about if one of Seton Hall or St. John's like at least made the championship game, there were both bubble teams that could have.
Right, but I meant like if you're thinking specifically of the title game, Creighton winning would have helped out a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so the Hoyas win the Big East, going completely opposite side of the country. The Pac-12, that was kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of these games were late during the week, so I didn't catch a lot of those. But UCLA blew one against Oregon State. Maybe that's a reason they're in the play-in game versus a firm 11 seed as well. Otherwise, kind of chalk to the semis, and really just like a fantastic run for the Beavers out there. Kind of really sneaking their way in there.
Yeah, because like I said, got to the semis, and I think then everyone was like, okay, Oregon's probably like the hottest team, especially like of anyone.
Yeah, Oregon was hot going to the tournament.
Yeah, I think they were like 14-1 or something. So everyone expects them to just roll a lesser team. Like I think I kind of mentioned, I picked Oregon to win because of how hot they're playing. But
we both did. It was that in the SEC.
Yeah, so like the UCLA game like could be pretty tough, but I think we're kind of going pretty. We had a good idea if they got Oregon State, they were going to kind of have a cakewalk to the championship game, and then out of nowhere they're in-state rival just kind of slapped them and beat them by I think 11 points.
Civil War.
Yeah, and then they got Colorado in the Pac-12 championship game. It was a pretty wild game against USC. Like it was like 11:30 tip, so I watched like the first couple minutes, and Colorado was rolling early. And then I woke up the next day and I saw ended up coming out not a quite buzzer beater, but USC led by Evan Mobley went on a very big run to tie it at 70, and then I think it was another step back jump shot that rimmed out, but then this time the tip in actually worked with like 0.5 seconds, and Colorado was able to get to the title game. But the Beavers, man.
Yeah.
I ended up watching that whole game because, like I said, I was in the room and GF passed out, and I saw a little bit of energy with me, but after like a long day of some drinks, a lot of good food, a lot of walking, the experience of just watching Bill Walton on a Saturday night at midnight is just
Yeah, I was pretty exhausted myself. I moved 2 couches this weekend, one out, one in. So, um,
Yeah, so it
like I
was
said,
it
yeah,
was
go
like Oregon got pretty on fire from 3 in the first half, and then just like kind of built enough of a lead where Colorado just couldn't. Just kept on
ahead.
whittling and whittling it, but they couldn't get down. I think the most viral clip of that game was Oregon State. I mean, Bill Walton yelled at Oregon State to get a defensive rebound, and the one time he yelled at him, they did. Dave
Oh
Patrick,
wow, I thought you were gonna say they were on offense or something, but no.
just like I think it was like a free throw. He's like, get a defensive rebound, and Dave Patrick's like, they did.
Well, it
And
worked. Like you said, or what did you say? I'm sorry.
I said, yeah, well, regardless, there's another bid stealer.
Yeah, exactly. So that again creates this domino effect down the line. And okay, now let's get to the ACC. This is where we saw a lot of craziness. This is where, um, COVID played a role. Duke won their first 2 games against BC and Louisville. That's another reason too. Louisville can't get too mad. They did, you know, blow that game. If they won that game, they would have been in the tournament at the very least in the first 4. I think it's almost like the loss was that bad that I think even if they won, they wouldn't have been in the first 4 because then they would have,
They would
because
have
I forget who would they face?
faced Florida State.
Florida State. I think, yeah, and Florida State's a good team. So I think if you play tight, you might even avoid the first 4. But anyway, um,
See, this,
so uh,
I was gonna say this is why
what?
I don't feel too bad for a lot of these bubble teams with all these
No,
bits.
I don't either. They had plenty. There was no team that like played super well. That's the thing. I think I may have even said this a few weeks ago on here, but I was just like, I feel like this is gonna be a weird year because no one who got left out like has this amazing case, and maybe it's because of the shortened season. So teams that like maybe started out a little slow and like now they're like, oh, they still have 10 losses, but they only have like what, like 16 wins. You know what I mean? It's not like a 22-18 getting left out in a usual year or whatever that might be. So yeah, yeah, I think there were plenty of opportunities for these teams on the outside looking in to come out and grab it, and they just couldn't do it. So it's more like, oh, a team getting it over them versus them missing it altogether. That's I think the only argument you can make. So definitely was a weird year. Like I said, Duke tested positive, and that really did cost them because if they were able to upset Florida State, I think you would have worked the way to the conversation there.
Yeah, you could have at least made a case for first 4.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah, especially if you do that, and then again you play a close game your next time around. But um, I Mike, I'm seeing some fighting words here. UNC beats overrated Virginia Tech. You're not feeling the Hokies?
I'm not feeling the Hokies, and I think they're playing another team that I said I hated too. So I'm not even gonna pick
Florida, yeah. I
Florida.
know. I was gonna say I might pick the Hokies in the first round, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think they did come out firing with their social media tonight. I think they were calling out all the haters, mainly like it was like a really weird post. I think like one of them was calling out like an old clip from PMT with Rothstein, like saying how they're like the 13th best team in the ACC, and then the clip might have been from like 2019 because of like where they recorded it. Like there was in person with Rothstein, like
Oh yeah, yeah. Cut the footage weird. It's like, all right,
yeah.
well,
So
yeah, it was a year ago.
and it was like all that just to get a 10 seed and like kind of back their way into it. Like they were pretty good at first, but like I don't know. It just seemed like
Yeah, they were ranked for a while. They ended up with a 10 seed.
it seemed like everyone that I follow that's really into college basketball say they weren't really that
Yeah.
good when they were ranked, and now
Yeah.
UNC kind of trampled them.
Yeah, so UNC playing pretty well. I mean, I was a little disappointed that they weren't able to get to the get to the championship game there. But yeah, why don't we go back to those are the quarterfinals there. Syracuse, Virginia, that was a fantastic game. Cuse again, they were able to get it no matter what, but like that was one that's like, oh, are they going to be in the first 4 now? Like, are they right at the bubble there? But and you have here you hate help D, Mike, and that kind of seemed to be what left Virginia open for that game-winning 3-pointer there.
Yeah, it was a tie game, and the guard what's his name? He has the Afro 0 on Virginia.
On
Virginia. You know who I'm talking about. He's like very small.
Right, yeah.
I want to see. It's not Cleo Lemon, but it sounds something like Cleo Lemon. But regardless,
The old backup quarterback.
Yeah, it's a name something like that. But
I'm on it. All right, keep talking.
Yeah, I would describe the play as basically he had a step on the guy, and a guy in Syracuse out of the zone came down and helped to kind of block the lane, even though there was a guy in the center in the middle that kind of had a hand up, and he at least could have made it a tough shot or a tough pass to the big guy. But just the guy from the zone kind of just came by and like barely even helped and left the shooter wide open on the wing. And these guys are, especially the college three, it's a kind of a layup for half these guys. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of way too late of D in that position. And
Yeah, and I think that's I think you're looking at Kahee Clark.
Key Clark, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that's, I mean, part of that's like the Syracuse zone, but also I think it's just like at a certain point, yeah, like if they're gonna drive in, that's you have the bodies in there. I don't think you need to help out. But yeah, I mean the guy made a good shot at the end of the day. Obviously before they had to pull out of the tournament. The Cavaliers, that is. So that's another thing too. It's like Syracuse, it's like, oh, you got your hearts ripped out, and then that's either beat you couldn't even go to the next round. So that was my pick. So that's where my curse started. We'll get to the other one in a second. But yes, the team I picked to win. I'm counting that as not a loss. That's a 0. But anyway, so then that kind of set the stage for Georgia Tech, who were able to defeat Miami, and then again kind of had that free pass then to the next round. So they got like an extra bye built in there, and then they were able to take down
double bye, and then they didn't have to play. They were the 4 seed, and they didn't have to play the 5 seed.
Oh yeah. Because the tournament starts Tuesday.
Yeah, 13 seed Miami beat the 12 seed, who then beat the 5 seed Clemson. So they had the bye, had to beat a 13 in the quarters, bye in the semis into the finals.
So a weird like ACC championship for Georgia Tech, because they by far had the easiest path. I mean, you still had to beat FSU, which isn't an easy task, but they ended up doing so after, again, the Seminoles were able to take down the Tar Heels after Virginia has to bail out, and Georgia Tech got that pass to the finals there. So they only won 2 games. Is that what that means then? If I'm adding that up correctly? Yeah. So yeah, they beat Miami and Florida State. So they didn't have to beat anyone outside of the state of Florida to win the ACC title, but they're there. The Yellow Jackets got the automatic bid.
Yeah, Josh Pastner going wild with his giant face shield.
I like the PMT guys saying that he should have to wear that all the time, because you just go Rip Hamilton with it. It's funny, yeah, back from his Memphis days. But yeah, so Yellow Jackets claim the ACC title. Because who was your pick there?
FSU.
Don't mind me. Oh, so you were close. You were close to getting one in there.
I can't get too mad because they had the bye to the semis.
Right, it was kind of cheating. Think about it.
But I guess it was just the back-to-back games and back-to-back days, because they're up like 9 points, I want to say, early in the second half, and then it was just a lot of sloppy passes and kind of just active defense for the Yellow Jackets that was able to create a lot of fast break opportunities and kind of really took control of that game.
Yeah,
and gotta love Josh Pastner, absolute class, thanking ESPN for broadcasting the game. Got to take care of those journalists and announcers.
Right. Actually, and while we're on that, I think I saw something a bit earlier that, Pastor does seem like a great guy. Like, it was, I think, a kid on his team who's like, your dad has like cancer. I forget exactly what it was. And he like calls him all the time just to like, check up on him. So that's obviously, he seems like a real class act. But yeah, so going to the Big 12, which is the second half of my curse, I picked Kansas to win that one. And they obviously also had to end their turnaround because of COVID. But I kind of want to jump right to the quarterfinals here, because like that's where we really got into the meat and potatoes of what happened here. A fantastic Oklahoma State West Virginia rematch there. I think that was we just saw that the weekend before, and then another one that came down to the wire here. And obviously Oklahoma State able to advance in that one.
Yeah, that was a wild game, because I know we did mention that Cunningham was out the first game, and also
exactly.
Like, I know that there's a starter out. I want to correct from last time. Likely was out, and he's really bad at free throws. So it was after Virginia Tech. I mean, not Virginia Tech. Sorry, so many teams. West Virginia missed the shot when they were down by 2. Likely got the rebound, and he just did not want to go to the free throw line. He threw it right back to West Virginia, and then they missed another shot. And it was kind of just a very frustrating ending for the Mountaineers.
Hold on, Mike. I might have. I'm sure it's breaking news. Why not? Patriots keep their run going, and we'll get to their full list later. In terms of former Jets D tackle Henry Anderson, I don't quite know that gentleman, but it's another. No, we'll add that to the end there. He's a guy. Build up that defense, but again, hopping back in here. Yeah, so again, Kansas obviously they yielded that to Texas, right? That was the matchup there. They were supposed to meet in the next round.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Kansas, Texas.
That was gonna be the 3-6 matchup, right? and then
3.
oh no, I'm sorry, 3-2. That was the next round.
Yeah, because Texas beat Texas Tech. You said you watched that game.
Yes. I hear you had comments. What did I have comments from that game?
Well, you were texting me a couple of things, so like Chris Beard doesn't wear a mask, right? And
Right. Okay. Yeah. Forget me. This is again so long ago. So much has happened since the last episode. Yeah. I mean, again, no matter what you think, it's just like it's progressively like I've seen it on his chin, and then like he's just holding it the whole time, and yeah. So I
I
don't
just
know.
knew you were watching it. I saw it was like a 1-point final score, so I didn't know if something crazy.
Yeah. It's just like dialing back so long ago, and so much craziness has happened, but. Yeah, it was just one of those things where I don't know. People in Texas Tech was good this year, and I was obviously huge on them 2 years ago when I almost rode them all the way to the championship. I don't know. Something feels off in this team this year. They don't seem like they are going to go quite as far as some people think they do. But yeah, I think the Longhorns really needed this tournament, and I think it's really put them on a good path because they were again they got up to number 6 for a while, and they obviously I think they hit a real rough patch, the whole COVID and everything, and obviously Kansas losing I think helped them. Or Kansas losing, sorry, Kansas getting COVID really helped them as far as advancing the tournament goes. Because again, I think that's a matchup they definitely could have lost, and you're feeling a lot different come Saturday night, Sunday morning, with that Big 12 crown. And obviously, we'll get to the details in a little bit here, but I think that's a good feeling for the Longhorns going in. So yeah, again, they were obviously kind of yielded there with the Kansas loss to the finals, and Cade Cunningham again, probably again. I'd say at worst, top 3 pick in the draft. Seems like the worst case scenario for him right now. They're able to take down Baylor, so there is some vulnerability there with the Baylor Bears. They're not perfect there, but came down to Kansas or not Kansas. I'm sorry, Texas and Oklahoma State, and again Texas may be benefiting from that extra day off, not even face the Jayhawks, able to take down the Cowboys there.
Yeah, I believe Coleman, I think, had a really good game. They got 30 points. And I think all throughout the Big 12 tournament, their big guy, Jericho Sims, I really love him.
He's been hot.
He's been very hot for them, then. I don't know. This is like you definitely see that talent because in their starting five, just having the 3 guards of Coleman, Andrew Jones, and I think Ramsey is the other guy. So they can get scoring from any one of those guards. You got Jericho Sims in the paint and got Greg Brown, my guy, and then I forget this another guy off the bench, a white that can shoot. So I don't know. They could be kind of again these teams are just really inconsistent out through the month of February. That could be just finding back the stride from the early season starts.
Absolutely, and I'm always going to root for Andrew Jones. Great story for him, battling cancer and everything, getting back on the squad there for the Longhorns. So, yeah, Texas is able to wrap up the Big 12. Another one where my pick didn't even make it to. Now they didn't lose; neither one of them lost. So, yeah, so a lot of I think results we did not quite see coming. So, did that mean we both only got one right?
Yep.
All right. Good to see. But I'm even trying to rewind. Oh, I had Illinois. That was the only team I got right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we both got them. The last 2 ones we got right, and that was it.
Yeah, last 2 tournaments of the weekend. So we were over until that. We were able to both get away with one.
That means we're just hot at the right time going into the tournament.
Exactly. We won the last one. So perfect. So now why don't we get into kind of some miscellaneous ones? Mountain West is probably the best of the ones we didn't cover as far as talent goes. The Aztecs were able to win that tournament. Again, they were going to get in no matter what, and then that kind of left Boise State, Colorado State in a weird spot. They ended up kind of losing out there, and then Utah State they were the runner up here, and they did sneak their way in here. So there were a lot of teams that had a lot at stake here, and could have really stolen a bit, like you said, or maybe still had their chance in, but the Aztecs were able to lock this one up.
Yeah, so I think this was probably the most entertaining to keep your eye on looking at the bubble, because they had one, of course, at large in San Diego State, and 3 teams that would have definitely, of course, it's an automatic bid, but if they got in, their resume would have built up enough where it's like they didn't steal it, they definitely earned their spot in the tournament, and they just kind of couldn't get up to that Aztec level, who've been playing pretty good basketball. I think they finished the year 22-4. So
Aztec motto.
Boise State was the furthest away, and they lost in the first round in Nevada, so that kind of knocked them out. And then I think that last spot really came down to I know I said I fell asleep during the Colorado USC game. I think even later on than that, I think the game went to like 2:30 local time was Utah State, Colorado State.
Mhm.
And that was pretty much I thought was a winning inning game. And Utah State was able to beat them by 11 points. So I think that's why they got in, despite the loss to San Diego State in the championship game. Though I was a little
Mhm.
confused on Sunday how like Lunardi was agreeing with me, but Jerry Palm had him like the opposite way. I'm like, how can you lose to a team in the conference semis and be in the tournament over them? Even they have very similar like records and resumes. So
Right.
that's why I trust
Yeah,
Joey brackets.
exactly. And then, okay, Conference USA, I know you have it out here. North Texas was able to beat the Hilltoppers, and it kept them out of the tournament. They weren't able to secure an large bid. I have a bone to pick with Conference USA because it was confusing the hell out of me the other day. They have their like they have two of each seed. It's like
Yeah,
one West, one East. Two. So because I saw a 1-2 game as the semifinal, I'm like, how is that even possible? So it drives me crazy. Like, no, just make it normal. Stop.
you texted me that, and then you were like confused. I'm like, yeah, that is confusing. And then like I saw another tournament that had like 2-3 be in the final. I'm like, how does that make sense? And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember I was looking at it like some like other like weird tournaments have like
East and West thing. It's like, no, stop. Stop with that nonsense. Like, combine it all. This is the tournament. Let's not do this. Is that normal? Or is that like COVID related? If it's
I
COVID
think
related,
I'm assuming COVID related because I saw like some tournaments
I'll cut them a break. But
had like
yeah, that
two
drove me
locations
crazy.
for their tournament.
Okay. Well, you had to meet in the middle eventually. But anyway,
Well, because like I
yeah,
mean, some tournaments had like even just the A10, which we should mention that St. Bonaventure's PC,
Bonnie's.
but like the semis were like 8 days before the championship game. So I think like they kind of had it in two locations and then like isolated for a week and then went to a
Hmm.
unified location. So like that kind of made sense. And I think some of the other tournaments had like semifinals Wednesdays, final Saturday,
Hmm.
which I do
Yeah.
think in like normal times they should kind of put it back because I know like it gets kind of crazy with the loaded schedule on Thursday and Friday with like all the larger tournaments. But
Hmm.
I was kind of craving some like final madness because like there was no bids from Tuesday to Saturday, and then like all these games get lost. And
I know. I know.
I think they should spread them out going forward. But yeah, North Texas was able to beat Western Kentucky. I know they're kind of on the border of the bubble because they do have Charles Bassey, which I think will be a lottery pick in next year's
Hmm.
draft. But North Texas was able to get the bid, and I didn't. I think Western Kentucky like I knew they'd be on the outside, like close to the bubble, but they needed the
If
automatic bid.
maybe if Creighton wins or UCLA win or like Oregon wins their bubble like normal, they might have an outside chance. But even then, we're seeing teams like Louisville and St. Louis miss out, so they would have needed a lot to go their way.
Yeah, I think it was the teams that probably got affected the most were Colorado State, of course, not Louisville.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Louisville, their head coach the last time they won a championship, Rick Pitino, finds himself back in the tournament. First year at Iona. Important to know that Iona has been on a streak of getting in the tournament before this, so we can't give it all to Pitino. But hey, he took over and took them right back to where they're used to going. They're in the tournament. They're going to be a number 15 seed and have to face Crimson Tide there in the first round. But I don't know. Good to see Rick back in the tournament one way or another.
Yeah, they're even a
He's got
ninth.
to wear the white suit, right?
They're in the ninth seed in the tournament. So I actually did catch a little interview with him last
They
night.
were the 9 seed in their conference tournament.
Yeah, but I think they just really played a lot of games, so I think it might have just been like
It could, yeah, like 2 games back of the 1 seed or
yes, I'm
something
pretty
like
sure like
that.
the
Yeah.
final. I think those. I'm not sure I know much about. I think that's the MAC.
The MAC, yeah.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
it seemed like pretty even because I think the final game was like 7 versus 9. But
Hmm.
I think he said
Yeah.
his motivational strategy was to bring like 7 suits or something because they can't like have like a rah speech
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're all in isolation right now.
Right. Absolutely. And I know you said so. That's kind of what definitely had a note here. And then are there some smaller conferences? And I know you mentioned sleepers as well. I don't quite have a sleeper, but I did want to make a note of another conference game that I was actually able to catch late Friday afternoon. Was Texas Southern versus Jackson State. I was watching. I know Deion Sanders, I coached the football team down there, and I saw that it was close late, so I threw it on the TV, and it looked like Jackson State was going to win that game no problem. But then Michael Weathers, look out for that name. And they're playing Thursday night. So I'm even though it's not officially in the bracket, that's going to be my pick. I'm picking Texas Southern to be Mount St. Mary's because Michael Weathers absolutely cold blooded, rocking the real short, like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson shorts. Put up 2 clutch threes at the end of the game. They were literally down by 3 points. He drills one at the buzzer to send it to overtime. And then even then, it was quite the back and forth, and he was able to hit a late three in that game to put them on top and beat Jackson State. So I wanted to give that team a shout out there. A fantastic game there from Texas Southern and Michael Weathers.
Yeah, and I was able to take a little graphic of the tournament tickets punched before the tips yesterday, so it kind of has all the teams in there, minus the A10, SEC, American, and Big Ten. It was around then.
Printed out bracket now.
But sad to see the Riverhawks UMass Lowell lose to Hartford in the championship.
Oh, tough one.
Yeah, and then the Grand Canyon, I think they're the Anteaters or the Antelopes or something like that. Head coach was I think Bryce Drew from Valpo.
Wait, what team is this? Because I know there isn't Anteaters, but I thought they were UC Irvine.
Oh yes,
so, maybe then.
Yeah, I think So I know it's Grand Canyon.
No, there could be an Antelopes too. They could be. I just know UC Irvine is Anteaters, I think. But yeah, as far as like again, I think the team that everyone's kind of, and we pointed this out yesterday, that could be a popular upset pick. And again, we'll get kind of into the brackets deeper. I guess we kind of talk a little bit about it now, but UC Santa Barbara seems to be the hot team right now over Creighton. This is 12-5 matchup, so they're kind of a team to look out for. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I think you're talking
UNC Greensboro. I know they got a tough matchup with Florida State. I know people like them. They look pretty impressive. I watched their championship game.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like pouring through it now. I mean, because I think some of them got tough draws because, like you said, again, having to face Florida State there. Yeah, I'm trying to feel like I think some people bring in Colgate, but they got to run to the Must Bus. That's not happening.
Yeah, Colgate put up a lot of points. I know I think it was Clark Kellogg was pretty happy because he's like, that's going to be a track meet. So
yeah, exactly. And I know this team's banged up, but I still don't see them.
The Antelopes.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So, and I know this team's banged up. I don't quite see an upset happening here, but I don't know, like Winthrop against a banged up Villanova team. I mean, there's potential there, but
I think you see like a lot of the popular matchups. You look for like the 5-12 and the 6-11s, but 2-12 seeds are conference tourney winners with Georgetown and Oregon State. So
I know, yeah. So, but the other two being Santa Barbara and Winthrop. So. I guess a banged up Villanova teams. Yeah, again, I think something to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, and I know we mentioned it last time. Like, there's 16.5 point underdogs already. That's leading, but the NCAA leading scorer Oral Roberts playing Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. They're a little too low. If they were able to sneak in another seed, maybe. But
no, I am kind of mad about. I forget how this dude pronounces his name. It's like ABMAS, but I think it's like Abscess or something like that. Like there's like a C in there or something. Really mad at that. And yeah, like a lot of the teams are like, oh, I kind of like them watching the conference tournament, or like 15 seeds with like Oral Roberts, Cleveland State. So
to win as a 15,
Morehead State being a 14 against West Virginia.
What was that? Middle Tennessee over Michigan State.
Yeah.
That was we were at Casca Flagon. I remember watching the game because I had Michigan State losing the championship game.
CJ McCollum's Lehigh team.
Yeah, the Lehigh over Duke. You said Norfolk State, right?
Yeah.
Or Missouri.
Yeah, Norfolk State or Missouri. I was saying
I'm sorry.
I liked Cleveland State watching them in their MAC tournament. They seem like a pretty fun team to get behind.
So I took this in a complete different direction of past upsets.
Well, I say Cleveland State and Morehead State I liked watching, but they're 15 and 14 respectively. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was getting at here is that like it's happened before with some 15s over 2s.
Maybe why do I say the Morehead State? West Virginia didn't look that good down the stretch.
But, Huggy Bear. You can't be doing that to Huggy Bear. But yeah, it's like I said, it's happened before. Just go back quickly to that Norfolk State Missouri game. That was a nice like Kylo Quinn over Phil Preston.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'm still staring at the bracket. I haven't done anything to it yet. But yeah, it's a wild bubble. So I guess kind of at the end of the day, let's kind of get into it here. We obviously know that the last teams that got in were Wichita State, Drake, Michigan State, and UCLA. Q snuck right into again not having to play in the first four.
Put up the last four I assume.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. What are some initial thoughts? Do you think they got this right or what here?
Well, I think the one note I gotta say is funny from the first four is like I think like we knew a week ago. It's like I think Drake's good enough, but they're gonna be in the first four. Like I think kind of
right, exactly.
I think even like before that, it's like as long as they get to the OVC, like the Arch Madness like title game and like
Mhm.
don't get their doors kicked in, like they're gonna be in the first four.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess like I think some of the big thing might have been the who's in the first four rather than who's not.
Yeah, so I have that now up now because we obviously know Louisville's kind of the big team there. Colorado State, as mentioned before, St. Louis, and then Ole Miss, who's 16-11. I don't really feel too bad about them. I know they're kind of I'd say they're pretty firmly on the outside, but again, like we were saying before, it's like none of these teams like I don't really feel too bad for. I guess Colorado State had the best case of being 14-4 in the Mountain West, 18-6 overall. So maybe they're the team that I feel a little bad for. I mean, they were placement number 2, so if 2 teams have to be out for COVID for them to go in, because obviously Louisville's sitting in the number 1 spot. The only thought I have is that Syracuse got that extra bye, but also like you mentioned, Wichita State, they lost to Cincinnati. You can't really argue them much over Syracuse. Drake, we mentioned before, they kind of seemed like they were locked in here, and it just shows you that if Michigan State was able to beat Maryland, or if UCLA was able to make a little bit of a deeper run, they'd probably be firmly in, and that's kind of what paved the way for Syracuse, because at the end of the day, they lost by a buzzer beater 3 to the number 1 seed in their conference. So I think that's the more I kind of talk that and think about it, I think it was kind of deserved for Cuse to get that bye to the first round.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess like I don't even like have like too much of a problem with Syracuse. I think it's like more of like teams like Rutgers. Like I know they're ranked
Hmm.
all year, but I think they finished like 15-11, and a lot of their wins
Yeah.
to start the year. And like I think just because they're so good, they're just kind of like solidified off. Like I know they kind of got into like
Yeah.
the last four in at some point, and like they beat Minnesota in overtime, and it was like okay, now they're fine. It's like
Right, yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, a lot of people are mentioning Syracuse, but yeah, Rutgers, it's got to be it. Like there was like, oh, they were ranked at one point, so it's
yeah,
so weird to think of. But yeah, I think again Louisville, Colorado, yeah, again those three, I'm maybe gonna cut the line there. They're three that maybe have a case, but again, can't feel too bad given how the seasons broke out. I'd say I feel the most bad for Colorado State, but
yeah. But again,
even then,
they had the chance
they had
to.
chances.
That was basically a
Exactly.
playing game, and Utah State's pretty good. So
Absolutely. So, initial thoughts, just kind of high level picture of the bracket. I have here is that Gonzaga got a really desirable path. They're a team that this time of year comes around, and I never know how far I'm going to send them, just because I'm like, how much have they been tested? They've obviously been undefeated this year, and they've beaten some out of conference teams. I have to give them credit. They've played games out of conference this year and won all those games, obviously.
I
But
believe
they
I believe they're three like big out of conference opponents were Iowa, the 2 seed in their bracket, Kansas, the 3 seed in their bracket, and Virginia, the 4 seed in their bracket. They beat all three of
right,
them.
right. So it's like they also got lined up with teams that they've beaten before. Yeah, so Virginia obviously coming off of COVID, not as good as they've been in years past. Kansas also coming off of COVID, not as good as they've been in years past. And then Iowa sitting at the number 2 seed. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's good teams in there, but no one that could really quite knock them off.
Yeah, and then
So
even
they
like
definitely have a desirable road.
their 5 seed, like Creighton, like they've had some internal turmoil and just got their teeth
They
kicked.
could very well lose to that 12 seed they were saying with Santa Barbara
Yeah,
sitting there.
and then even their 8-9 matchup, like you see, like
Mhm.
North Carolina, Wisconsin's a different matchup, and like LSU's
Yeah,
sure, Loyola, Georgia Tech, and then they got Oklahoma, Missouri, like 2 teams that, like they
two
were really good all year, but they've both
trending down.
trending very much down. So,
The curse of Long Corleone.
oh yeah,
But yeah, so they seem to have a very desirable path to at least get to the Final Four. Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, Michigan's bracket seems pretty.
yeah,
Michigan and Baylor seem like they have pretty fair brackets, but I think Illinois got kind of host here for being honest. I think they have a real tough bracket, especially having to face a pretty hot Oklahoma State team in potentially the Sweet 16 if both are able to advance.
yeah. I think like the evenness of I think Michigan might have got equally hosed, but like I think everything has to go the right way for Illinois' bracket to be a very, very hard schedule. Because like I mean,
Hmm.
between the 8-9 match of Loyola and Georgia Tech's really, really tough. But like if Oklahoma State doesn't get there, like between Tennessee, Oregon
That's
State,
actually true. I
that's
think
not
it's just
that
a tough.
bad. And then Houston's very good as 2 seed, but if like San Diego State, West Virginia, like Rutgers, Clemson, like
I could see either
I
any
think
one of them.
Illinois is
Yeah.
like 10 times better than those teams. So like they need to have the Sweet 16 Elite Eight combo of Oklahoma State, Houston to be like the toughest. But outside of that, I think that regions.
It definitely, that potential Illinois or Oklahoma State matchup has the like 2013 Michigan Kansas type vibe that it's like whoever can get their way out of this game is going to go far.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what happened with Trey Burke hitting that huge 3 there, but it seems like such a tough road. But it's like I almost like their chances of the games afterwards versus this actual Sweet 16 matchup here, because I'm really big on Oklahoma State right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, whereas like so that's the bottom right, the Midwest, and going back to the left, the East, like with Michigan, it's all going to come down to Livers. Like I think they're 40-4 when he plays in his career, and like I don't know, I can talk myself into any of these top 4 teams winning, and then I can easily talk myself into any of these top 4 teams losing in the second round.
Losing in the second round, I don't know. I mean, just because it's Gonzaga, I guess, but like I also don't think they could lose to Oklahoma.
No. I'm talking about the East bracket with Michigan.
Oh, I thought you meant all the number 1 seeds. Sorry.
No. I meant the top 4 in the East.
In that, got it. Okay.
State, Texas and Alabama.
Agreed. Yeah, I could see anyone coming out of there, but any of them, like you said, Alabama has to run into UConn in round 2 if they're both able to win. Texas against either BYU or one of these first 4 winners, who I think, again, one of the more traditional schools with Michigan State, UCLA, Florida, who knows, if Colorado or the hot Georgetown team, and then, like you said, LSU or the Bonnies taking out Michigan. I think Livers does play a huge factor here. And here's the question I'm going to ask you, Mike. And I think if Livers is somehow able to get back healthy and play good for this team, I think I guess some of the questions going to be more of a statement I'm going to make. I think we could very well be heading for the second time ever, first time since 2008, having all 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. I think that could definitely happen.
Yeah, because
more so than other years.
Yeah, because I think we definitely did see a fine line between who was the top 4 all year. So I think for me, it really just comes down to that Livers injury, and
because I'm not seeing a lot of like the 2, like Ohio State's been good, but I think they might tap out at like a top, I think top 16, top 8 team. Same thing with like Houston, Alabama, Iowa. Like they all seem like they're in that range there, but I don't know if they have quite the championship push. So I think it's gonna be, I don't want to be the guy to put all 4s in the Final Four, but I don't know. It's looking pretty chalky this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll have to do some tinkering throughout the week. But again, those are the initial thoughts.
I never tinker with the bracket. Usually I'm like, just trust your gut. But I think you can just like a little spoiler, because I have taken a crack at it. I think I'm like pretty solid. Like I did one last quick tinker, and I think I'm kind of set on 3 of the regions. But that last region I mentioned, the Michigan one, I might over the course of the week have like 5 different teams winning that. So.
Which is crazy, because if you said that 2 weeks ago, I think you'd be like, "Oh, Michigan's definitely gonna make it to the Final Four," and then now
they were part of the team. I was like gonna without a doubt not even look at it, just put them in the winners.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but like you said, they between not being able to wrap up the Big Ten and then Livers injury as well, and some other losses down the stretch there, a lot of question marks surrounding that team. And then you said Baylor, kind of the last one here. You have some hot teams in there. Obviously, Ohio State able to make that push to the final. That North Carolina Wisconsin game is very interesting, because I don't know, like I'm getting the urge to have that, but having Baylor lose in round 2 just seems a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that game. Wisconsin's struggling on the stretch, but even hearing Rothstein say like they do have experienced guards, it's just going to be.
And then
it's coming down. It's Wisconsin's backcourt is the strength, and the North Carolina front court is going to be the strength. We're gonna more in depth in these games on Thursday.
But something about seeing that Carolina blue too. I'm just like, that can always make a run. But yeah, again, we'll go region by region on Thursday night. Probably release Friday morning, just kind of a more in-depth prediction of how these games are going to break down. Already just even saying that, getting excited about my setup on Friday, taking a half day and just watching games all weekend. Excited about it. Oh, I did have a hot take for you, Mike, before we wrap up. I can't even mention this Thursday as well. Obviously, I much prefer the Thursday to Sunday schedule for opening weekend, but I don't think I'm going to hate the second weekend.
Really? The Monday, Tuesday?
Not because of Monday, Tuesday, but like usually you kind of get screwed over, because let's jam pack all these games Thursday and Friday night. And then there's 2 games each Saturday, Sunday. Now you get 4 games on Saturday, 4 games on Sunday, and then we'll finish the final 2 Monday, Tuesday. I actually kind of like that setup for the second weekend.
Yeah.
You can space everything out more.
Yeah, because I think their big thing was that, well, with COVID, I think they wanted like to sell like, okay, it's gonna be different. People are gonna hate that there's not gonna be the Thursday this year, but they wanted to be
No,
like,
yeah,
there's not gonna be any overlapping games after
no,
the next weekend. Everyone's gonna have
I
their
lo- I love it for a weekend too. I wish they could that I would want to do. It'd be weird because you have like a almost like a week gap, but like I wouldn't hate the Thursday to Sunday the first weekend and then go Saturday to Tuesday the second weekend. I really
yeah,
wouldn't
well,
hate that.
give more teams prep time. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I think on the dot a full hour on college basketball. So we do just want to hit on a few items here.
the last thing
Uh,
I mentioned from college
yeah,
basketball, 6 orange teams in Illinois bracket.
too much. And orange is my favorite color. I'm a weirdo like that. There's too much orange going on there. I said that we were watching it together at our parents' basement. I'm like, there's too many orange teams here. Right? I saw Illinois go off the board. You see
Orange.
Tennessee and Oregon State facing each other. Yeah, it just Syracuse later on. Yeah, Clemson. It's just way too much. Way too much. But yeah, good note there. We'll get to that more in depth on our Midwest analysis on Thursday. But yeah, so just a couple quick notes on the other winter sports. I'll call them. Celtics out of the break. We're not going to do a lot of NBA just because again my brain completely shifts to college at this time of year. But Kyrie dropped 40 on him Thursday night, and Celtics lost to the Nets, but they were able to bounce back with win against the Rockets last night. So
Lowly Rockets.
yeah, things are not looking good down in Houston. They have a problem down there. We'll see if they can get into the lottery. Maybe have a chance of Cade Cunningham start this whole thing over, but we'll see. And then Bruins tie aggregate, if you will, against the Rangers, and then they just lost one tonight against the Penguins. So
Yeah, it was like I said, like they always like win you back. They won 4-0 on Thursday. It's like, yeah, after a couple rough games, like they're beating up in these Rangers, you're feeling good. Like they're actually putting pucks in the net. And then Saturday afternoon matinee, Panera returns for the Rangers. I think he has an assist in that game, and that's like quite the impact on it. Then they win 4-0, and then tonight they go up 1-0 early, and you're feeling good, and then just the power play of the Penguins just takes over, and like both Malkin and Crosby got a goal. So
yeah, and again, we mentioned it before. That's a tough division to get out of there. There's going to be a good team left out, so
just try not
to stay on their toes there. Yeah, you can't slip into that 5 spot. But obviously, we have a little bit of time left to go there. Once the tournament kind of wraps up, we'll get more in depth as far as that goes. Along
But
with,
that's the one thing
NBA.
I do like about this though is that I feel like in years past, with like the mid-April starting date of the NHL and NBA, you get lost in March Madness. Like, oh crap, there's only 1 week
Oh,
left.
the play is like 2 weeks of playoffs exactly. So it
And
yeah,
now
it
you're
does
like,
give
okay,
us a
like
little bit more lead in time.
season, they like kind of get like into your playoff pushes.
Absolutely. So I just want to just keep everyone up to date. I've been tracking the local teams, the Celtics and the Bruins. Just a quick note on them as we're again pretty college basketball focused these days. But we do have to hit on some NFL, Mike, because Bill came out ablazing today with some moves. We got to rewind it quickly to Friday. With the news that Cam is coming back to the Patriots to a lot of dismay. Can I just throw something out here? I love Cam. I did not want him back. I don't think I think he's unfortunately done. I think he really should hang him up and pursue some other career, which I think would be fantastic because he's a fantastic personality. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope the arm comes back. But the calls I was hearing on sports radio on Friday acted like a family member died. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm not happy about it either. I don't want Cam back. But people saying that this is like the lowest moment. They're not going to watch the Patriots this year. It's a sad day. They're saying that it's like, oh, I haven't felt this bad since Bill Buckner. It's like, oh, are you forgetting the 03 collapse? Are you forgetting Super Bowl 42 with David Tyree on the helmet? Are you talking Game 7 against the Lakers? The Bruins have had other losses in the middle there too. St. Louis a few years ago, that game against the Blackhawks, which I know is Game 6, but there's been so many worse things that have happened than Cam Newton signing a contract with the Patriots. It was absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yeah, because we've definitely seen some misleading deals. So you see 1 year 14, it's like, oh, they're committing, and then you look into it more, it's like
5, but still.
And I think we can cut him from camp and only really need to pay him a mil. So
I know, and I'm not happy about it either. I wanted them to get a veteran and then draft someone, and even if it wasn't Mac Jones higher up, like again maybe Kellen Mond a little bit later in the first round, and maybe they'll still do that. But I mean, I get the initial sadness, some hot takes getting off, but again, just some people took it too far. It was crazy.
Yeah, even people are saying oh, I need a drink tonight. This is gonna be bad. That's even fine.
No, I'm fine with that. Or again, I know sports radio has the takes they got to fire out. It was really more the callers I was getting a little upset with. That it was again just saying like I'm never gonna watch them. It's like come on, get over it. Like I know with the Patriots again we won 6 championships, and I'm not saying we should be like, oh, I'm fine going 7-9 for a few years because when this like no, it's highly demanding, and this team should be a lot better than that. But saying you're not going to watch it, come on, grow up. That's all I have to say there. But and then yeah, so we kind of got teased with a little bit of news on Sunday. Marcus Cannon got traded to Houston. Seemed like a nothing move there. Just a few picks that went back and forth, right? I'm sorry, what was
I really
it?
like that deal.
Well, what did even happen? They just a few pick swaps in there, but did it free up cap space? Is that why you liked it?
We freed up cap space to do what we did today. I
And we'll
believe
get
that,
into that in a sec.
I
Yeah.
believe that even though Cannon wanted to like return and play football, he wasn't really a part of our plans, especially because we're going to be shifting kind of towards like an way you win. Get now that Trent Brown back, I think it was kind of more of we were all set there, so we're going to save some million, and then I think we're going to need to do well with some of our day 3 picks. And the fact that we were able to move up in 3 different rounds, like that could be a difference between like who knows, even like an early 4th, an early 5th, and like a next year 3rd, or like next year 4th could let us sneak in the end of day 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So like,
no, I mean, like I said, I mean, they obviously, like you said, the Trent Brown kind of built up flexibility on the old line there, especially with because you have him and Onwayo, and like you said, maybe sliding Isaiah Wood back to a guard, so it does create some some depth there. So you're able to
because even a lot of the Bill haters I follow on Twitter were giving him credit. He was like, they're like, hey,
Bill Hader,
Bill haters.
I realized that, but there was like a 0.5 seconds. I'm like, Bill Hader, what does he have to do with this? But anyway, Bill Belichick haters, yes.
Yeah, they're like, we got to give credit where credit's due. We think he's done a lot of bad the past couple of years, but this was actually a nice move. And I was like, okay, like I agree. Like, thank you for being somewhat level-headed.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to what happened today. Since we're on the Patriots, so we're going to kind of rewind a little bit afterwards. But what a day for the Pats. Whether you like them or don't like them, they made a lot of moves today. The first real breaking news of the day was Jonnu Smith, and that's obviously a huge target, no pun intended, for the Patriots. Signed, what was it, 450?
452, maybe?
I think it was 4 because I think it was 12 and a half. I could be wrong. That might have been closer to so it might have been 4 for 50. Something they desperately needed. And I know everyone's going to say who's going to get this guy the ball because of Ken Newton, but still, that is something that he was missing. Because I'm not one of those people that's like Cam sucked because he didn't have any receivers, because I just thought he couldn't throw the ball, but also he didn't have any receivers. So having Jonnu Smith 450 exactly, yeah. So having Jonnu Smith there. What was that?
I think 31 guaranteed. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's all good. So I think that was a huge first step there for moves. And then also some other ones that kept trickling in throughout the day. Judon from the Ravens, I think. I mean, I'm hearing mixed reviews here, but again, I'm Judon is like a name I was seeing a lot this past season. So I'd like the move personally, kind of solidify that defense a little bit. Second, maybe again, just like creating more flexibility when we do draft them, maybe not pigeonholing ourselves into certain positions. So I like that signing. And then also Jalen Mills from the Eagles. He was the guy. Was he the green?
Yeah.
Then I'm all in. I love that trade or that pickup, brother.
Yeah. So these are all some 4-year deals on top of the Smith one. So 4-year 65.
We'll stick to the defense right now. Yeah.
$56 million deal with $32 million over the first 2 years. So part of me is thinking right now with all these deals going out is that, yes, the cap's down this year, but they're expecting a huge boost going forward. So a lot of these deals might
these guys up,
in the 4 years. By the time like years 3 and 4 come around, they might actually like get back.
Might be a higher cap.
And they're all in like their 20s. Like I'm not sure how old Judon is, but like a lot of their guys they're signing are like 25, 26. So
I think Judon's 28.
Yeah. So
yeah. And then it's funny too because I was listening to again the radio on the way. There was a lot of the breaking news, and that always gets me excited. So one of them was a little less exciting. They re-signed Dietrich Wise, but then later on in the evening, so we started out with the tight end, then we moved over to defense a little bit, then we got back to the offensive side of the ball. 2 receivers going off the board because we remember, as much as I thought that Jacoby Myers had a great year last year, he is not a number 1 wide receiver. He's maybe a 3 or 4. They added two guys who I think can work really well. One to that always makes me think of that Philadelphia guy saving the children from the burning building. Aguilar, Nelson Aguilar. Most recently with the Vegas Raiders coming off a good year with them, but again, had a good Super Bowl against the Patriots as a member of the Eagles. And then I think the signing, I think Smith was kind of the big name of the day, but the low key, my favorite signing of the day was Kendrick Bourne from San Francisco. I think he's someone that can fit real well in the system as well.
Yeah, I think he seems like a very versatile receiver. So, and I think what we did here, I believe hearing today that I think part of the reason why Aguilar did have a better year with the Raiders that they kind of put him more outside than in the slot, and I feel like we just have nothing but slot guys. So
Yeah,
it'd be good to have like some sort of outside target with Aguilar if someone can get the ball.
absolutely. But yeah, I'm a huge fan. It's just like this offense is already so much better than last year's offense. Like it's not even close. It's just you're adding two wide receivers and a tight end. Even if Edelman doesn't come back, because again, he wasn't part of the team for a large majority of last season.
Yeah,
anyway. So
because even like this by no means the best receiving core at all, but like Bird was pretty good too. Like
yeah,
so like Aguilar, Bourne,
yeah, exactly. Byers and Bird are guys that should be 3, 4, 5 ish on the roster, not your top two or whatever's gonna happen with N'Keal Harry too. I don't know, but
yeah, it's like we might have seen like a high end 2 and a high end 3 to add to our mid level 3s, but like that's at least a core.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like Edelman doesn't come back. Let's say okay, that's like another like at this point in his career probably a 2 receiver.
So yeah, no, they're definitely filling out the roster improvements on defense and offense. We'll see where they go in that first round. I'm thinking linebacker still. Like I think it might be Micah Parsons.
All of us. That's my dream right now.
Or like I said, our guy from Notre Dame that I should really look up what his name is, but it's hyphenated and long. But I'm fine with him too.
Outside linebacker. I feel like I'm like, is that the same as Judon? I don't know. I gotta look more into this, but
even if one of these, like, again, I know they picked up Jalen Mills today, but I'm like, even if one of these DBs falls somehow, like, I'm like, I wouldn't hate, especially if you can think, Gilmore is on his way out. I'm fine with
JC Jackson's gonna need a payday soon.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna see this run on quarterbacks, I think, early. So the question is, what defensive guys fall? Because again, you're gonna see a huge sort of quarterbacks. You're gonna see probably 3 wide receivers go off. You're gonna see Kyle Pitts go off. You're gonna see probably at least 2 offensive linemen go off. So there's gonna be a good player sitting with you at 15. So I think they should be in a good spot there.
Yeah, if we get that, if we just get Parsons and then something like day 3. How many picks? If we have day 2, if we have 3 picks, I'm not sure.
I would love if they could get
quarterback, receiver, and another defensive guy. And then
I would just love if they could get Kellen Mond.
Yeah, that's kind of the guy I want right now too.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate Trask, but I think ideally Kellen Mond. But
Bledsoe type.
Trask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stone footed. I mean, Bledsoe wasn't bad.
No, we'll see. But yeah, some other NFL cleanup. The Patriot going out of town. Joe Tooney going to Kansas City Chiefs. So much for that cap hell that Patrick Mahomes contract created.
Did you details of that deal though?
No, what is it?
It's the first year is all, so it's 580 and it's a 17.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
The $17 million bonus. So his cap hit this year is $990,000.
Oh my god!
And then his cap hit like year forward is like a $16 or $7 million salary.
Okay.
It's like they're surviving this year the down cap. That's why I keep on thinking that the cap's just going to skyrocket. Like maybe there's another TV deal. I know, like we said, like ESPN got out of the Super Bowl rotation, so like maybe there'll be more money from that coming in. So
absolutely. And then for the Bears, I'm seeing so Allen Robinson won't sign the tag, or NBA insider Allen Robinson will not sign the tag there. And then I see you here, quote, a big swing for Russ.
Yeah,
is that what they're saying they're doing?
That's a report that trickled in yesterday morning. I just got the note. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it, honestly. Like I'm at the point where it seems like, because if you look at his list, if you look at his initial list,
Bears are going
Dallas,
to shoot their shot at Wilson, who is intrigued by Chicago's offensive system and market. Yesterday morning at 10:40, according to ESPN.
I'm saying if you look at his list of 4 teams, Dallas re-signed Dak. New Orleans has this weird fake Taysom Hill contract, which is like upwards of like $168 million, but also nothing. Jameis. They re-signed Jameis. So yeah, exactly. And then what was the other two? Vegas. They seem pretty set on going back with Carr. So I mean, they could make that work, but I mean, Chicago's of the four the most likely to make a move there. I mean, I know he could very easily just stay or add some more teams to the list, but they're kind of leader in the clubhouse, I'd say, amongst those four teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be make their offense very interesting.
Yeah.
Then,
Time with that Taysom Hill deal, just throw forward that. Signs a
I don't get it. I'm not going to pretend to understand that.
It was 4-year, $140 million contract that saves them $7.5 million in cap space. It's like, sure.
I can't even begin to understand that stuff. And then so one final note here: we have the players this weekend.
Well, real quick, can I? Fire contracts, like notes in the last 24 hours.
Sure. What do we got? Shoot it
okay,
out.
So yesterday, Texans trade linebacker Bernard McKinney to the Dolphins for Shaq Lawson and a swap of late round picks.
Okay.
Last night, 49ers signed fullback Kyle Juszczyk to a 5-year, $27 million deal.
The juice.
Yes, and then the Kelsey, Mahomes, Chris Jones restructured their contracts to clear up cap space. And then going into today, we have
Jets.
We have Shaq Barrett, 4 years, $72 million, $36 million guaranteed. Chargers signed Corey Linsley from the Packers, making the highest paid center because the Packers re-signed Aaron Jones, so they picked the running back over the All-Pro center.
Strange.
Ngakoue going to the Raiders. Leonard Floyd going back to the Rams.
Carlos Hyde went back to the Jags, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we saw Corey Davis and Carl Lawson to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And then last, the Titans signed Bud Dupree.
Yeah, so today was the legal tampering period, which I don't quite understand whether to just call it the first day of free agency.
And also, Bucks re-signed Gronk.
Yes.
Also, I was going through my Bleacher Report, but it was somehow shifted into two different buckets for the past couple days. So
yeah, so it's a quick rundown. Again, first day of free agency there. Expect to see probably some more movement as we get on. But yeah, like I was saying, kind of last note that we have here in the players. Again, didn't quite catch too much of this, but Justin Thomas shoots 68 to win, and Lee Westwood blew it, as you wrote.
Yeah, I think he had a shot of 72 in the final day. He was up 2 strokes going into the last day, and then Thomas 68 kind of just really took over. Poor Bryson, I think he had a bad lip out to tie for second, and it cost him like $500K. So even that happens.
That's so sad, Bryson. I'm so sad for him. But yeah, we spent about an hour or so on college hoops. Again, that's going to be even more predominantly the show on Thursday. I'd say we probably have a similar hit on some notes at the end there with the Celtics and Bruins. See if anything else happens with the Patriots. But we're going to kind of go region by region there. Did you have something to add there, Mike?
No, I was going to say I was like maybe 100% college basketball, depending on what happens.
Yeah, I'd say probably like 90% at the least. Might have some special guests there. I'm hearing, Mike, on
perhaps on
Thursday night.
Like kick the tires around here, see if
what's happening at MacArthur Street on a Thursday night.
Yeah, see if the schedules and if they're willing to show their faces.
All right, well, we'll see. We could potentially have some guests there as we break down region by region. We're getting there, Mike. We have a bracket. We'll be so the first 4 games will be on when we're recording next time. We'll have that in the background. Maybe try to get in the earlier games so we can kind of kick back and relax and watch that the Michigan State UCLA game, because I think that's on the later slide, right? I think they have.
Yeah, I can pull up some.
Do they do the 2-16s at the same time and then the 2-11s at the same time?
No, because they're
good. Okay.
They're doing the 2-16s on. Okay, so the 2-16s are going to be playing at Assembly Hall, home of the Indiana Hoosiers, and then the
11s.
The 11s are going to be playing at Purdue and in West Lafayette, home of Purdue. So it's going to be a 5-10. They kind of space this out pretty well. It'll be a 5 dip between Texas Southern and Mount St. Mary's, and then
Southern. I just said Southern.
Oh, and then 6:30 we have the Drake Wichita State game.
Okay.
8:40 we have the App State Norfolk State. I don't know, gonna be pulling for App State. I for some reason like them this year. And then there's gonna be a late tip. It's around 9:57. That's what they like. They always love.
Yeah, it's like, it's not quite 10, but it's gonna be late night. Late night. Luckily, I said it'll take a half day Friday, so we'll power through that one. Exactly. So,
I kind of like it. Let the jerseys work out this way. It's technically UCLA at Michigan State. We'll have the nice Michigan State whites.
Powder blues.
Powder blues.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good little appetizer on Thursday night before we get into the full buffet that is the weekend as we get into Friday
They
through
did
Monday
release the
there.
times finally. They did last night. So I know they didn't in the show. They didn't have the times quite yet for the first round games, but they do have that up, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. I think we clearly don't have the time to go to everyone, but let's just say the first game, Florida Vatech. So that will be the tip off where someone's like, we're underway, and it's always so exciting the first game on the first day. So yeah, exactly. But you have time to get everything ready, get some lunch going and everything, and then
the second game is the Colgate Arkansas game, so hopefully that'll just be points.
Yeah, you'll be riding the must bus by then, by 12:45, I think it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, we'll have a full preview on Thursday night. They're gonna probably be up again sometime early on Friday, so you can kind of get that fix in before the tournament starts. And yeah, again, had a lot to cover tonight. We'll have a lot to cover on Thursday as far as college hoops goes. This is March. We sleep in May. Mike, see you Thursday.
Here we go.